Celebrate like it's a huge big deal because your mind goes, oh, you like that, let's give her more of that, and that's really helpful. um and there was one more thing I was going to say. Oh, yes, consistency. So my background is in behavioral optometry, so I had a therapy center where I help people integrate their vision, brain, and body, and I would customize these programs for people. And then I had therapists, vision therapists, who would do the programs with the patients. And sometimes they'd come to me and go, you know, Johnny, he has not done well for the last 3 sessions. For some reason, it seems like he's getting worse or he's just not going anywhere. And I look to make sure that we're on the right path as far as this program. And if we are, I just tell them, just keep doing it. You're on the right path and just keep doing it. And so he might have had 2 or 3 sessions where he's either going down or just plateauing. And all of a sudden on the fourth session, he catapults. He catapults because the even when things look like they're going down or flowing down, your brain, your mind, you're still learning. You're learning from the ups and you're learning from the downs. The brain is still learning and it's simmering and it's kind of sinking. And then once it sinks, it's ready to grow again. And your situation or your goal, sometimes it needs some time to kind of just sink in because, we go from chaos to order, right? To get order, you have to go into chaos, which means like you learn something new. Think about when you learn something new, you have to think about it, whatever, and then it becomes easy. But then you have the next step and you have to learn something different new. You go into chaos again, back into order. So just have faith, be consistent, don't quit.
Don't quit. That's like the motto of my life. And I will tell you, developing persistence is such a superpower. It is such a superpower. Sometimes I like to listen to Napoleon Hill, right? If you don't know who that is, you've definitely got to look him up. There's tons of stuff on YouTube. Think and Grow Rich, right? And sometimes I like to listen to him at night before I go to sleep because it helps me sleep faster. And last night, as a matter of fact, the part that I was listening to was about persistence being a superpower. Now, this is something that I've always said. I learned this through my challenges with fighting the US government as a veteran. And persistence is a superpower. And cultivating that skill of even when things are challenging, recognizing that the challenges are there to help you be better, right? They are. And I think one of the biggest things I learned through and help people with in my coaching when I'm coaching with people, whether it's mindset coaching, which is my favorite. I guess I don't know if I could say that. I also love podcast coaching too, but having that mindset piece is really crucial, and having that persistence as part of that, because when we're facing challenges or when we think we're failing, we aren't,
Mhm.
right? um, there's lessons in there. So I like to tell my kids and I like to tell my clients the same thing. There's no losses, there's only lessons. Though it will suck, and I'm not going to say it won't, and it
Mhm.
won't feel bad in the moment. But I give myself a day to mourn and
Mhm.
to accept that I failed,
Mhm.
and then to take a day to look at what the lesson is. I get in my journal and I write it down, and then I start thinking about and visualizing how can I come back from this, right? And that's part of the persistence, is like, I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to continue pressing on until I reach that. And it's funny that my friends often tell me all the time too, with the podcasting and everything. They're like, you do it. And Brian Rose, who was my mentor for many years, same thing. Podcasting for 8 years, and then finally it takes off. And that's when I think of when you say the catapult,
Mhm.
right? You just get catapulted. So one thing takes off, and then there you go. You're off to the races. And that's with anything. I'm saying podcasting because we're on a podcast now, and I love podcasting. But I also do pinup, same thing with that. Private coaching is something else that I do, right? And whatever you do, or anyone does who's listening or watching this podcast, um, whatever you're doing, right? It's if you stay with it and you're flexible enough to pivot when you see that there are mistakes or failures or whatever happens, you learn the lesson and you keep moving forward. You can basically achieve anything you want. You can make the impossible possible for you.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So, okay, I love this. So, how can we really, if we're stuck and we find ourselves stuck and we find ourselves lost, and we're trying to use these tools that you've given us today to help us to navigate our way out? What are a couple of things that we can do to try to like make it a little easier for ourselves?
That is a really wide open question. So let me think what would be the best thing. First of all, I think if you're really stuck, as in even going into depression,
Hmm.
find support, someone around you that you can talk to. Because a second person looking from an outside perspective can shed new light on a situation that seems hopeless or stuck. So that's the first thing I would say. Um, and then if it's something in business, same thing. Find a mentor. Find someone. If you're stuck in business, there's someone that has been there or knows what you're struggling with, and they can help you with that. So I know you might have been asking about the vision part, but a lot of times when you're stuck, I think community is maybe one of the most important things.
I would agree with that because sometimes we can't see our own way out,
Mhm.
right? And we're stuck in a loop. And
Mhm.
so having a support system is really going to be important. I mean, sometimes telling people what you're trying to do or what you want to do can provide resistance, and they can sort of just say, I always think of Jay-Z, the famous rapper, and he's like, when he was a kid, he would be rapping, and his uncle told him, "You can't rap," or something like that. The story goes, and if he would have listened to that, he would not be who he is, right? But I'm sure that his uncle loved him and was well-meaning and well-intentioned in trying to protect him. So people project, is my point. And so I think sometimes the community you need is not necessarily the community of like family and friends. Because I have found like most of my friends don't watch my podcast. They love that I do it, right? But they don't watch it. The people who watch my podcast don't know me. Okay. All right. So sometimes it's good to find a community of like-minded people outside of your normal support system, is the point I'm trying to make. And also a coach.
Mhm.
I will die on this hill. Like a coach and a mentor if you can.
Yes.
If you can find them for free, great. If you can't, however you got to come up with that cash, come up with it. And then even if you can do it, I once had a mentor. I spent some money on a mentor for a private 5 day, like it was 5 days, like one-on-one intensive. Because, Tony Robbins always says you have to be intense. Like it has to be, if it's going to change you, it needs to be intense. Right. So, and it was worth it. It was worth every penny because it changed me in those 5 days fundamentally and my mindset.
Mhm.
And there was a very rapid mindset shift. So even if you can do it one session, or you got to do a free coaching discovery call session, like however you got to get that coaching, get a coach. And if you can find a mentor or two, even that will make you move so much faster than trying to do it on your own. I can't state enough. And there's so many coaches